Good morning, January the 6th, 2016, and if you read all the news articles that are out overnight, it would be hard not to contemplate seppuku if your life and livelihood was dependent upon the value of your stock portfolio and your assets. Every night we awaken to it's really not every morning, every night, news stream of bad news comes out of Asia and Europe and the Middle East, and the news that comes out of the United States has not been comforting either. The bad news is accelerating. So the selling in the E-mini, how far is the Fed going to let it go? That's the only positive thing out there holding stock markets up around the globe. We read about massive Chinese People's Bank of China intervention. We read about the EU, and every time it looks bad over there, anything and everything will be done to support the economies and our markets in the United States. We know what happens when the market starts to sell and accelerate. We see the 50-lot players step up to the plate and buy. And that's the result of pretty bad economic news. JP Morgan withdrew their support, their analytical support for the stock market earlier. Citicorp's bear market checklist just got longer. So we deal with a market that, if it weren't for the Fed, equities would be lower. The inverse relationship between gold and treasuries and equities continues. Gold and treasuries are up overnight because of the weakness in the stock market. So when we take a look at do the split, we should do a London split. We've got P's behind us. We had a P yesterday. We have a P in Globex. We have a P with two distributions out of London. So the first trade of the day is to find a place to get long. We do have news today that can impact the trading. ADP is expected at 190,000 new jobs added to the economy. Trade balance could come in lower, minus 44.4 billion. Gallup job creation index. Don't know what that is. Last month it was 31. Gets lower each month. PMI services 56. The PMI services numbers for Europe were mixed. France and Spain's were down. Italy and Germany's service PMI went up. Factory orders, minus 0.2, not the stuff of bull markets. ISM services, 56.2. A very important number. If this number comes in lower than forecast, and it could, it takes away from the Fed's quote-unquote forecast that the economy will grow 2.5% to 3% next year. Big draw on the APIs. Crude inventories are expected to be down 700,000 barrels. And the big draw, normally at the end of the year, because of inventory taxes, crude oil, they run their supply down, stuff that they hold in inventory down to minimize taxes. Number one focus, ADP. Number two focus, ISM services. Overall focus for the treasuries, direction of the stock market, and the Fed participation. We'll have to see. I'll see that in the 50-lot trader. Okay, failure to take out this 24-28 area is where we are. So sell failure to take out 24 to 28. We're already above that, so let's make it sell failure to take out 26, 28. I think if we get through that, we're headed above the buck, so then we'll jump it up to 27.03, 27.07. Obviously 27 is a round number. There will be some profit taking at 31 on the buy side. 17 to 21, buy 1. And then buy 2, 9 to 13. Okay, the overnight action is such that quite often the excess is wrung out of the market. there's not as much buffering, there's not as much liquidity. The markets can run pretty freely, and the key is taking out the overnight session high and holding it. News will impact the trading today. I think the overall focus of the market will be the direction of the E-mini. Like treasuries from the long side first to see if we can extend the overnight sessions range. Okay, we are at resistance 55.14. We've got this J London high over here at 55.20, so sell failure to take out. $16 to $20 and $27 to $31. On the buy side, last rotate down stopped at 05. We're at 14, so 1 to 5 will be buy 1, lean against the buck, and then 21 to 25 will be buy 2. Lots of range, lots of volatility. The knob spread expanded by a full point overnight. Okay, gold is higher because of the weakness in equities. Ironically, the only stock market that's up overnight is the yuan. They had a driven buying in the Chinese market. Every other market reacted to the downside because started with the selling, the devaluation in the yuan by China. You find when you go back and you look at the studies for countries like Argentina, Venezuela, and the rest of it, what is the best investment? In all of those countries that devalue their currency in a big way, it's always the stock market where you have gains, but after you do those gains in real dollars, there's not much left. So on paper you can keep a lot of your wealth, but after the devaluation takes place, there's usually a haircut there too. So when governments devalue currencies, there will be some automatic reflex buying in stocks. Okay, 85.87 was where resistance was on this contract. Looking at the F1 screen on gold. Maintain perspective. We've got this 94 area. Then we've got the spill from 1103. So say 95 to 1105 is pretty stout resistance. They've gotten stops above 87. So right now the 90 to 94 area, then 1100 to 1105 would be where best resistance is. And we're in the same situation that we're in. We have to take out the overnight session high and then hold it. So stops above the overnight session. First sell will be 89 to 91. Sell 1. 94, 96. Sell 2. Got this draw right here, this high volume number, so limit sell against 92. Structurally is a trade. On the buy side, the breakout came from 83, so we have this high from yesterday at 82, so 81, 83 buy 1, and then 75, 77 buy 2. Okay, one thing that was unusual overnight was the 6E did not have, the euro didn't have much of a rally given the devaluation in the yuan. Usually it rallies. So when good news doesn't rally a market, sell it. And like I've said many times before, we're headed for stops below 105 before it's all over, all said and done. You can see Asia. The Asia high was right here. We were in our 75 area, so we almost made it up to the buck. And we're currently at 71, so we're going to make sell 1, 80 to 90. Then 825 for sell 2. On the buy side, 40 to 50, buy 1. Then 107.25 for buy 2. Do like the short side better. Okay, the selling in crude has continued. I still haven't found that article of the guy that was forecasting crude oil at 32 bucks. I'll see if I can't find that today. We've been expecting crude to go for stops below 35, and it happened overnight. We have a triple distribution down, looking at nothing but B's behind us. So how low can we go? We're below 35. Haven't gotten any kind of a bounce. So 35, 35 and a quarter, sell 1. 35.50, 35.75, sell 2. On the buy side, stops below 50. 34.25 to 50, buy 1. 33.75, 34, buy 2. Like the short side better, as you well know. Okay, without direct Fed intervention, European Central Bank intervention, Bank of Japan, People's Bank of China, the stock market would be much lower than they are now. That is a fact. We're headed for this support right here in this 65 area. Break that, the next little support's going to be in the 40 area. Obviously stops below 50. We've got stops below that M low right now. So the market is in a sell mode. It is headed lower based on fundamentals and all the right reasons. And the selling started over here in the 78, so the 78-75 area. So 65 I think was within reach, then 40 to 50 based on this screen. I think there is definitely one sell left in the market. You can see the selling started in Globex, started in Y period. It is a move out of the middle right there. Definitely a B. Renewed in London. Have 2 distributions lower from London, so the issue is where does the Fed step up to the plate? We've got all this volume from 74 down to 69. Then we've got a low volume number down at 64. We're at 73, so our first little band of support is going to be 65 to 70. We have the ADP number 190. Shows a little bit of job growth. The question is, can you believe the number? And then we got this little high volume number down here at 55. So I think we bust the 65 area. We're headed for 50. So we'll put our second buy at 50 to 55. Gonna open it up. I think we'll be a little bit lower. We've got the ADP number to get through. FACTI orders number will not be supportive. ISM services number, if as forecast, would be supportive. Case 85 is where we are right now, 73.75. So our 80 to 85 is going to be sell 1. And 90 to 95 is going to be sell 2. Quick review of the news. ADP 190. I know it is redundant. Trade balance 44.4. That's a negative number. It always is. Gallup Job Creation Index. Don't know. Last month it was minus 31. Should come in lower. Excuse me, it's not minus 31. It was at 31. Not a negative number. Obviously, you like that number higher rather than lower. PMI services, 56. That number could come in lower. ISM services, 56 too. That number could come in lower. And crude inventories. The APIs drew 5.6 million barrels. News focus, ADP, ISM services, and factory orders at -2. And they've been ignoring the factory orders, durable orders numbers. They've when they've come in lower than forecast. So I think the ISM services number carries more weight than factory orders. Okay, it's going to take a bit to get everything up and published. I'm going to get busy on that. Be back with you as soon as possible. ADP number would be positive. ISM number, if forecast, would be positive. Then the issue for us as traders will be, is good news accepted and the market rallies, or is good news ignored? And if good news is ignored, it makes the sell much easier. Back in a bit.